Is someone's phone vibrating, maybe?
Maybe. All right. Okay, so for the purposes of recording, we have started the meeting at 5:34 p.m. and I'm going to share the screen again. I needed to take off share so I can find the record button. And I'm going to go back and share this screen. And everyone needs to pick a language. Thank our LAUSD translation unit for being available for our meetings. And I just want to give a shout out to them that if you ask early enough, you usually can get a translation unit to come to your meeting. And since we were diligent in picking our dates back in August for the rest of the year, I was able to make that request back in August for the rest of the year. It's just so much easier to cancel than it is to actually go back and try to ask for. So make sure that everyone has picked a language when they come in, and we're going to need to call roll right now to make sure that we have quorum. We have 16 members on the local school leadership council, and we need 9 voting members for quorum. Ms. Narvaez, I think I saw you there. And
yes, I'm here.
Mixed Dow is here, and she started doing the minutes. Mixed Dow, did you want to finish, or you want to let Ms. Narvaez take it
We're
easy?
gonna tag team.
In a tag team. Okay, great. All right. So
I miss some, you guys talk really quickly, so sometimes I miss things. So it's nice to have someone to
Okay.
cover for me.
Very good. Awesome. All right. So can you, one of you take roll?
Oh, one second. Maria cannot hear us.
Oh, did Maria pick a language? I don't know if that makes a difference, but she should.
Okay. Whilst you help her figure that, I will take roll.
Okay.
Mr. Malta.
Present.
Okay. Miss Anderson. Absent. Miss Moore.
Present.
Okay. Mr. Diaz. Absent. I am Sophia down here. Miss Dr. Castillo.
Here.
That's right, Dr. Castillo.
And now I had to correct myself there. Miss Dodd. Absent. Miss Narvaez.
Present.
Mr. Nguyen.
Present.
Mr. Primus. Absent. Miss Jackson. See her. Absent. Miss Lieberman.
Present.
Miss Williams.
Here.
Miss Martinez.
Present.
Miss Armienta. Absent. Miss Rivera. Absent. Miss ooh. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the name. Valetiera?
Oh, yeah.
Absent. Miss Bedford.
I'm here.
Oh my God, I can't spell. Okay. Miss Hawkins.
Good evening here.
Hello. Miss
Hey.
Henderson. Absent. And then our students, Mr. Meza. Is Isaac here? I don't see him. Absent. Gloria. Don't see her. Absent. And Xavier, I think, is also absent. Okay.
Oh, I need to make a correction. Cesar Perez is going to be taking Gloria Perez's spot. There was an election of leadership and
Okay.
it'll be new,
Caesar.
but he's not here either.
Okay, Caesar, what's his last name again?
Perez.
Perez.
Mhm.
And he is class of
2026. He's in the 10th grade.
got it. All right. That is fixed. Let me count up how many are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait, hold on. Sorry. 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, we have 11 voting members, so we do have quorum today.
Awesome sauce. Will our alternates, will they be voting right now or are we seating them?
Yes, both are seated today.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to, again, just remind everyone, co-chair, if you don't mind, I'm going to remind everyone that they need to pick a language. So on the screen here, if you can see it, there's a little button at the bottom that's supposed to look like a globe. Please make sure you pick that because our translation unit needs everyone to pick a language so that she is able to translate for anyone that needs Spanish translation. And the first thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes. And the last time we had an official meeting or a formal meeting was December the 5th. Hopefully you all had a chance to read it. And we need someone to make a motion so that we can have a discussion. Let me see, I'm trying to move this. Oh, before we do that, in honor of Black History Month, I wanted to read the, is that a land acknowledgement? Oh, so we did land acknowledgement for Indigenous, and I didn't put the right one up there, so forget that part. We'll do it next time, okay? But I did have something we'll read at the end of the meeting for Black History Month. I'll put that in announcements. All right, let me move on. Let me get out of this screen here. Do you want me to share the screen or I can put the minutes up here? Let's see. Minutes.
Were you asking me?
Yeah.
You can
Oh,
share.
no, I know what I need to do. I need to put this screen up here so someone can make a motion to approve the minutes. That's what I need. Okay, I'm going to change that to 534. And here. Can someone please make a motion to approve the minutes? Co-chairs are not supposed to make a motion. Someone else on the floor has to.
I, Mariana Narvaez, move to approve the minutes with any corrections, deletions, or additions.
And someone second?
I, Alex Nguyen, second this motion.
Okay, so it's been moved in second that the minutes be approved with any corrections, deletions, or additions. Are we ready for discussion? Somebody say yes. All right.
Yes, we are.
Awesome sauce. Do we have any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes? Okay, sounds like there are no, I don't see any hands raised. All right, so with no further discussion, the question is on the adoption of the motion that the minutes be approved with any corrections, deletions, or additions. Those in favor of the motion, can you please type that in the chat? And that would be aye, which is yes, you accept the minutes, or no, you don't accept the minutes, or you want to abstain because you weren't here. Yeah, so that's how we're gonna vote in the chat. And that would be the 11 folks who are voting today. And Cesar Perez, I think, just dropped in, our student. Please make sure that you pick a language there, Cesar, if you can hear me. Oops, I put December 2024. I to stand by. Okay. I do see someone wrote in. Oh, that was you. Never mind. Sorry, Pam. Okay. So you should be voting in the chat. Oh, Caesar, so on your phone, you're gonna look in the corner, it says more, and there's a place for you to actually select your language. It should say interpretation or look like a globe, and you just select it from there. Is this Cesar Perez? Okay, did everybody vote that wants to vote?
Just waiting for Caesar.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like we have 11 ayes, 1 abstain. So the motion passes. The minutes for December 5, 2023 have been approved. Next on the agenda. I'm gonna shut this down right now, so I can switch to something else. All right, so next on the agenda is the budget. And that included a timeline from the Budget Committee when the Budget Committee met on January the 23rd. And that was part of the minutes that was sent to those folks who are attending the meeting today. And I think it went out to all the members of LSLC, but we'll also show that timeline today. And it's linked in the minutes that are on the school's website. So I'm gonna go there right now. Hold on just a second. Where'd it go? There it is, I see it. Shifting around here, hold on a second. Okay. Oh, and please take the budget survey if you haven't already. We'll get back to that. All right, so to find the agenda and minutes from any of the LSLC meetings, you want to go to HawkinsHS.org and go to Our School, then go to Councils and Committees. And then you want to go to Local School Leadership Council, LSLC. It gives a brief description. And we are on February 6th. And you can click on the link here for agenda. All right, so we did the roll call already. We did approval of the minutes. And the new business is the updates from the Budget Committee on where we are with planning. And this is, I believe, the timeline. Awesome. And we are here. All right, and I can see a couple of people there right now. Mr. Malta, I didn't talk to you about taking on this task right now, but do you want to go over the timeline? Or Ms. Castillo, because I don't want to be the only one talking.
Sure, I mean, I can take some of that. On the timeline, we did stated that we're going to go ahead and do a needs assessment. I believe that that is on the works. We need to finish by February 9th. Or the budget allocations should start coming to us sometime at the end of this week, and it just keeps dropping little by little until we have all the budgets that we need to start working on. The February 12th to the 16th is when we start taking the needs assessment and looking at what it states as priorities. Start taking those suggestions so we can start to look at the data and allow for us to start working on those budget lines. Typically, what we would do is we would look at what was purchased, in the year prior to this year. The same discussion should happen, and we will start to compare what is it that we want to keep and what is it that is not working. So it's the same cycle of trying to look at the data in order for us to analyze if the system is working or not working. The budget committee meeting, just to create this document is starts in February 20th, according to our timeline. Again, is keeping on that process of looking at the needs assessment and the priorities based on the survey completed by our stakeholders, and taking a look at what it states there so we can continue with this process of allocation. February 19th to the 21st is we share the document and we will have our stakeholders vote.
Okay. And I'm going to put a link into the chat for the survey. It's on the website, but we're asking all stakeholders for their opinions. And it's prioritizing the top 10 on our list. So in each question, you'll have the same 10 priorities. And so you're just going to rank them. So if you think that we need to spend money on more curriculum, then that would be your first choice. Or if you think it's field trips, then that would be your first choice. But just know that it's the same choices in each one of the questions. So you're ranking them 1 to 10.
Correct. After we finish with that process, then we will email a preliminary budget for more feedback from local school leadership council and school site council members, starting around February 22nd.
Okay. And so then we're going to take a look at that information, and then we're going to make sure it gets distributed to everybody. And the goal is to get 75% participation from staff and from students, because it's easier to measure that out, and then as many parents and as many community members as we can. It does show an increase from, or yeah, show an increase from what we had last year. So it's always good to have an increase. And so then we don't have all the budgets in, like Mr. Malta was saying, it's coming in little by little. So we should have all of that in by the 10th. All right, and we only have a few more minutes left on this section of our agenda.
Yes.
Let's see how many more. We have about 6 more minutes left if we need.
Alex had a comment as well.
Alex had a comment? Yes, Alex.
It's in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I think when we used the same survey last year,
We did.
there was a lot of mistakes, I guess. Cause like people could put the same priority like 3 times. So there were a lot of like categories that were kind of iffy. Or like some people wouldn't vote on all 10. And then there were a lot of data entries with only like people doing the top 3, for example. I don't know if we want to change the form to account for that because it made like for example, if some people only voted for like teachers, they would skew that and they could put that in all 10 priority slots as well, which would make the data like not as accurate.
Yes. So how do we change that at this point since it's already gone out?
That's a good question.
It's been out since January 31st, I think. So I think we should probably take note of that and about how we make that. I noticed that when I was giving that in the class, I told kids, don't put field trips 10 times. I had to remind them that they had to pick a different category for each one. So there may be some way to set that up next year in the form so it doesn't do that. But I noticed that too when I was giving that out. Had to give people instructions, make sure they didn't, pick the same thing like 5 times.
Yeah, once we get the results, we can filter that out. The people who
Yeah.
did the survey incorrectly, I think that's the best we can do for now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, though. All right. Any other comments about what's happening right now? All right. So the next time that we'll get together for the budget committee will be on Tuesday, February the 20th. And then we can start to create a document that will show to the stakeholders so that they can tell us what their top 3 priorities are based on the feedback from folks who answered the survey. All right. Now, we have in our bylaws to have a review of the budget every month. And we had our last review in October. And since that time, we have switched interim principals. And not only have we switched interim principals, but we've said last meeting, I believe, that there was a switch in who's our fiscal specialist. And that person was being trained. And now, since it is annual budget time, we have not had a chance to sit down with our new fiscal specialist. However, our interim principal is very good with keeping track of the budgets. And I don't know, Mr. Malta, did you and Ms. Bever get a chance to meet at all?
Yes, we did. Actually, I'm going to share a link with you right now so you can see how I'm planning on developing a way that you can see where the current budget is at. And so I'm dropping a link right there for you to access this Google sheet. The Google sheet, as it is presented right now, will list the budgets that we have available. And as you can see, I will put in the allocation on top, the program number, the program name, and the budget items that are purchased through that funding source. Now, this is just going to give you a general idea of the items that are purchased under each budget. And that way it will give you an overall idea of where things are allocated, if that makes sense. If you look at one of the biggest budgets that we have currently there, Academic Excellence Program 10947, you will get an idea of, the things that were budgeted under that budget program. Such as 2 counselors, 1 instructional coach, intervention support coordinator, the TSP coordinator, and so on and so forth. So my goal is to just give you a general idea of what's under that budget, so you can get an idea of how Hawkins High School has spread all the items that were budgeted for in so many different budgets. Now, even if this council or the other council, so don't have preview over that particular budget, at least is you're going to be able to see where some of the items that the stakeholders have prioritized will be allocated in one way or another. We just have to remember that this there is um, uh, there is an allocation letter that goes out to every school asking everyone to follow the procedure on how to spend that particular pot of money. So definitely there are strings attached to everything. But our job is to make sure that is well balanced, and at the end of the whole process, that everything that we do need, so Hawkins can run a good uh, for the following year, then it's there. Now, when it comes down to any budget cuts, which they have been predicted over a few weeks already, that we're gonna face budget cuts, we're gonna have to study it very well. What was it currently budgeted for, and what are the things that we had extra, and we probably will not be able to allocate any more money for that particular program, or how is it that we're going to maybe use another budget source to budget for that particular program or position, whatever that may be. So I know that Ms. Moore is showing a more detailed budget allocation, that it has a lot more details. So that's similar. That's almost the same idea. So I wanted to show it in different ways. That way, everyone has a good understanding. Either looking at this particular document that Ms. Moore is showing right now, or the one that I'm sharing with you. Which way you're able to capture that information, so we can make a really good decision when it's time to look at the new budget allocations. I hope that makes sense. I did. My plan is to definitely continue to work with a few individuals to help me in trying to have a better understanding of the background of Hawkins and how typically the money has been allocated. And my goal is definitely to keep you updated and be as transparent as I can in order for us to move forward. So my goal is just to make sure that you do get a good perspective regularly, as it was requested. So whatever timeline that we have, as many times as we need to, especially with the budget committee meet, and make sure that when we come to local school leadership council, that we are informing everyone, and that we build that trust, that a lot of these items have been already discussed. And so when we come to this meeting, we can feel comfortable in voting. So I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions, you just let me know.
Okay, so Mr. Malta, thank you so much, and I appreciate you creating that document because it's really helpful. And the only reason I'm showing this one is because this was the document that LSLC put together last time. So we're used to seeing a whole lot more detail. So thank you. And that is a big step up. And I see that there are there are at least two other people that have their hand raised. And I think that when we're looking at what monies have been spent, we're looking at something like this, like what you created. And then it says here, like really detailed about what we spent the money on. And then it shows like what we're looking at is like how much in each one of these categories have we already spent, like what's left and what isn't left and what will carry over and what isn't. So we can talk about looking at this one because we run out of time in this category also. So do we have a vote to continue in this category before we go to the next section? Somebody
We
want to make a motion?
We have hands up first, so can we?
Yeah, we gotta make a motion that we want to continue on this category because we have actually run out of time. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that
Should
we
extend
continue.
for 5 more minutes.
Cynthia Castillo motions to extend this conversation for 5 more minutes. I need a voting member to second.
Hi, Paula Armienta, second the motion.
All right, we'll extend this by 5 minutes. Ms. Castillo, you had your hand up first, and then Ms. Casey.
I just had a quick suggestion for Mr. Malta. I like the spreadsheet. I like the way that's set up. I want to suggest adding a couple more tabs and duplicating that. So I want to suggest another tab just like that, but underneath maybe putting the allowable items, because that's been a concern for us in the past of not knowing what we can purchase out of each budget and being told what's going to be purchased out of each budget. And I know on the timeline, we want to kind of like help make informed decisions. So if we have this same setup that you have, but on another tab with just like what the allowable items are that can help us with decision making. And then a third tab can be similar to something that Mr. Nguyen made last year as well, which actually like is more of a formula that actually starts deleting what is being spent and how much is left. So those are just some suggestions that we could all look at. And then the document that Ms. Moore showing can be kind of like one of the last things where it's kind of all put together and we can see what different areas of the school are being funded. So that's it, just a suggestion.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Casey, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a question. What's put in place to make sure that money that's being provided in these areas are money that's well spent? Assessment and accountability. What happens if you put money towards something and it isn't working out with the actionable outcomes that we would hope to see? Who's looking at that?
Okay. I'm not sure we can answer that question today, but I think that's a question that needs to be answered.
Well, whenever you spend money, you want to make sure that it's money well spent. So I just want to make sure that as money's being put towards these programs, positions, that we have the outcomes that we expected to look for. Otherwise, it's just throwing money in the wind.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna write that down so we can add that to the minutes.
Why
I think
can't
that's something that we should, because we don't have
answer today? This is not the first time that Hawkins has been in existence. What's the protocol?
the protocol. I don't know that we have that protocol in place, but I do know that that's something that's coming up in the budget committee where we have more time to talk about it. And so we have that meeting on February the 20th. So if we don't have it in writing already, then we should have it in writing at that time. So I think we should put that in the minutes to make sure we have an answer to that question. And we have 2 more minutes left. I see one more person has their hand raised.
Is that me?
I think so. I'm trying to see.
Yes, Ms. Bifford, that would be you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this conversation is taking me back to what I've always said since I've been at Hawkins, is that it's so important that we understand what is actually happening at the school. And that's why I'm always saying we need reports from various departments and various, whatever is going on. We need those reports to come to LSLC because that's information that will guide us into deciding on how this money is spent. If we don't know, perhaps maybe the challenges in the math department or the English department, how do we know what decisions to make as far as that goes, maybe when it comes time for planning these budgets? So again, we need the information. We can't sit in LSLC and talk about PDs and bell schedules all the time. That's a waste of time. I understand it has to be done, but it's not a good use of this committee's time. So again, we need information so that we can move forward with actionable items. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're gonna, I'll put that in the chat right there so we can add it to the minutes. And we are reaching out to more departments, making sure that they're coming to this body and making reports during the ad hoc section of the meeting, and setting up schedules so that we can make sure that those folks know in advance.
And see,
Because
Ms. Moore, I'm sorry, Ms. Moore, also,
we
it
have
doesn't
48
necessarily,
seconds.
okay, that's fine. It
Go ahead.
doesn't have to absolutely mean that they have to appear and present it all the time. Just provide something in writing, or somebody takes it down and just lets us know what's going on. It can be
Okay.
informal, but we just need the information. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it. It can be informal. Put that down. And yes, and so let's see, 24 seconds. The PD schedules, it may seem redundant, but it is something that's under the purview of LSLC, and that's why it's always on our agenda, though, by the way. And anybody else? All right, we got 10 seconds left. All right, let's go to the next item on our agenda then. And let me go back to that. Oops, sorry. That's our hawk. And Miss Casey, that hawk flew right by my face the other day. He's huge.
We have a mascot.
Yes, we do. And he really literally, his wings, I thought he was going to touch my face. He was so close.
He's getting bolder.
Yeah. We had a lake yesterday. It was beautiful. We had 4 set. I'm just chatting it up as I'm getting to this section of the agenda. But we had a lake with 7 sets of ducks. They were all paired up.
On campus, that's amazing.
It was. I got a picture of it. I wanted you to see it because I knew you'd be so excited.
Yes, please send it to me.
I will.
You know, just quickly, they come from the down Slauson. There is the wetlands.
Oh,
and how
okay.
their way every year. This is now the 6th year. They've come to our garden. They're creatures of habit. So if they find a place they feel is safe, then they will return. So they return to our campus. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's time for our community schools updates. Dr. Castillo.
Thank you.
take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. I just wanted to share a few things. One is I had talked to Mr. Malta about taking on the community service process. And I talked to staff about that. Ms. Moore, can I share my screen?
Yes. Hold on just a second. Where do we go to share? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I wanted to help move us in the digital age as a suggestion by Mr. Malta, because students are expected to keep a piece of paper for 4 years and it like never happens. And then their senior year trying to scramble to get 160 hours and doing things like turning in a survey for 30 hours. So this is a digital form that I created that I would like to get feedback on. I can put, let's see. And then this is kind of a guide of the steps. So also want to get feedback on this. This is the digital version of the form. And then there would still be a paper version. I've kind of wanted to revamp that as well for it to look like this. And that with the idea that students would turn it in every semester and they turn it into me or their counselor. I would need to talk to the counselors about them being on board with that. I don't want to just tell them. So we need to have a conversation. Hopefully I could share out during one of their meetings and add it into MISIS under counselor communications, because then there could be a record of it for the students as well, even if they were to say move to another school, which is sometimes a need. So this would be the new paper form. This would kind of tell them what the steps are, which would be that, you know, ideally they sign up or create their own service activity, participate in it, they complete the service log form, either digital and or paper. I would suggest both. They need to keep their own copy. And then again, still confirming that or making sure that they have that conversation with their counselor to make sure that they're progressing on hours and that they have enough done by graduation. So just wanted to share that process. Previously, I'd also made like flyers with ways to earn community service opportunities. I won't share that right now, but I can at a later time. So what I'd like to do is kind of get all of these together and roll them out to students and staff. But I wanted to share it here first to get any initial feedback. Ms. Sarmiento?
I would just, can we put like a start date to ending date? So for example, I don't have to log in, or Jojo doesn't have to log in every time I finish LSLC or SSC. We can just put like from August till June, and then a certain amount of hours that we meet here, because in the digital one, I don't, he will have to do it every single day, and that's going to bombard whoever's receiving those responses, I feel.
Okay. I'll see if there's a way to do a date range on the digital one. On this paper one, that's why the kind of is like dates. You could just put like a start dash end date. I'll think about, maybe I could just do the date one twice and do start and end, or one time, maybe, right?
Okay, and then you mentioned he turns these in, because I have to sit down. He turns this into his counselor?
As of now, it's probably going to be me until I talk to counselors and see if I could get them on board to support this effort.
Okay, because I've been told that he should know how to submit his hours, but nobody has taught me to teach him or him to teach me where we submit. Does that make sense? Which is why I'm confused. I mean, June is around the corner and this is going to be due soon, so I need to get to it.
Yeah, the way it's kind of been conveyed to me is that it usually sort of just happens at senior year before graduation, when they have to do their season, they have to turn all that in. That's what I'm saying. Like, to ask a student to hold on to a piece of paper for 4 years is a big ask. Okay. But so thank you. And so that's partially why I want to kind of create this process and clarify who they turned it into. And I want to suggest that stuff gets turned in every semester. I think Ms. Casey is next.
Yeah, Ms. Casey and Ms. Bedford.
Yeah, just two things, I guess. One, I have seen a similar log. A lot of students get community service from the garden. I was wondering, is there a list that gives students suggestions on where they can get their community service? Like, there might be things on campus where like the library, for instance, things that we don't know about. I've never seen a list compiled. It's not going to be, just an all-inclusive list, but just some ideas.
Yeah, so I've made this and shared for, and then in the parent folder I created for this is in there as well as another one that explains to parents how many hours are needed as well. So this is something similar to that. And so that's why I would want to put all of these together again and again, try to communicate them.
I don't see opportunities there though.
I guess I thought these were opportunities, but maybe not.
The back of one of the community service forms has some other lists too, that one's not always copied. And then some of the clubs provide different opportunities and things are announced. And I think that, I mean, I'm just one of the counselors, but I think that it would, well, we'll see what the other counselors say, but my feeling is we'd want to combine it with other things the counselors already have to do, because we have so many things to do. Like you do an individualized IGP meeting with students. So we'd probably want to try to combine a community service turn in with when we meet with them with their IGPs. Because we have, each of us have about, the minimum would be like around 278 students. So we'd probably want them to be able to turn in their community service log when we're meeting with them for something else. But I think a computerized one is a digital one is a good idea. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I know which form you're talking about, Ms. Lieberman. It has like the names of actual locations that they could go to get community service.
Yeah, and I know that
We had another
sometimes-
person with their hand up. I'm
sometimes
sorry.
when we copy them, it doesn't get made as a double-sided sheet, so it doesn't have
Right.
those.
And there's
those-
like 5.
And Ms. Bedford had her hand up before we run out of time because we got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, I want to say that I do think that this student community service hours, it's a good opportunity to tap into the families and engage them. I think it would be a missed opportunity if you don't do that. But then my main question really was, what are we doing now as a community school to reach out and connect with the community? Because this is what I've been waiting on for 3 years, and to be honest, I'm just very disappointed at the lack of wins that I see when it comes to the community school.
Yeah,
So I just want to know, how are we connecting?
Yeah.
Right. So when I was in the role 2 years ago, right, that's one of the things, like doing the community cleanups, doing the food giveaways and getting students to volunteer. Like those were some of the basic ones. And that's what I want to keep doing is creating more of those opportunities, working with a labor and strategy, working with the community coalition, working with SJLI, Brotherhood Crusade. And what I've been doing right now is having meetings with all those partners to see like what are some of their initiatives, how do they align with what we're doing here, as a way to then also reconnect. And the community school implementation team, they made a asset and needs assessment for the community partners as well. So I'm getting those done as well, to kind of see like what are the things that they focus on that we can hopefully get our kids and our students and families to tap into.
And as we know, Hawkins is in dire straits. So I'm going to encourage that we reach out to new partners as well that are also within this community to build this community, not necessarily outside of the community, but we have to build our own hub. And
Yeah,
so
I have
I'm
a
going to
list of
encourage that instead of
organizations.
like Brotherhood Crusade. I mean, that's the same thing over and over again. And so we need to see some new stuff.
Yeah, I have a list of organizations I want to reach out to. And if you have any names, please email them. I would love to learn of more groups.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then I'll share with you about poll workers, because they also get community service hours for doing that too, and paid. Yeah. Okay. And we're at our time. Mr. Nguyen, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I did. If Ms. Castillo, if you do the online version, I can probably work with you on like trying to organize it and sort it out, so we have a database for all the students and the best way to collect it and make it available for counselors.
You know what I think would be a great club, except I don't have the time to sponsor it, but I bet a community service club. I know there's kind of a social justice club. I mean, I know a lot of community service things that are kind of far from where everybody is, because my daughter, who's 20, had to do her community service things, but they some of them were all over the place. So like there's this thing that's like babies to babies, where you just like, you get baby clothes and you have to donate them somewhere, and like, oh, sorry, that's my dog. Okay, I'll stop. Mute me, please. I can't find the button.
You need to be muted. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I mean, I don't know when we can talk about community schools budget stuff too, since I'm out of time. Maybe if we have some time on the back end, we can.
Do you want a motion for more time?
Hi, Paul Armienta, make a motion. We have 5 more minutes to talk about budget with Ms. Castillo.
Somebody second?
Hi, Ms. Martinez, second.
Yeah.
Ms. Martinez second. Okay. All right, 5 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Castillo. Dr. Castillo.
I had my hand raised, but I can wait.
Okay.
Do you want me to go on or what?
Esther, you said you had something to add about the budget, or did we lose her?
I think we lost her. Go ahead,
okay.
Miss Gigi.
Back, back.
Just
Oh, okay.
with Miss Lieberman, we do have a social justice club. Channing heads that club. I think the reason I asked for a list of things is because there are a lot of good things going on at Hawkins that people don't know about, such as a suggestion for a social justice club when we have one already. So I think that we probably could do a better job at PR for letting people know how we're already involved in things, how that can grow. And then I just want to underscore what Kelly said. We're just a community school, we're not, it hasn't been so many years. And so I agree with Ms. Bedford, we don't need to rely on what's already been there. Hopefully, in becoming a community school and having someone working in a position to promote that, we're going to bring in new people, new partners, because I know for a fact that we have a lot of rich resources locally as well. And so I think we're wondering, why is it taking so long for that to happen? When the resources are steps away.
Okay. And Dr. Castillo, you said you wanted to add something about the budget for,
Yeah, I do need to,
we have 3 minutes.
I do need to put a motion for a budget approval. So I wanted to share that because I don't think we have any minutes that the budget approval when we had to make an amendment to it because of what the actual budget is allowed to purchase. So when we first did it, we tried to put like field trips and things like that in there, but that's not actually an allowable item in community schools budgets. And so then we made some changes, but for some reason it never got documented in any kind of minutes, so I couldn't submit that. So Cora said that we need to do it again. And then it was brought up to me by our SA and others to suggest to put some more in both categories like general supplies and advisory committee expenses. So I did that. And when thinking about our budget for next year, I hope that we can again look at things big picture, really thinking about what limitations the community school budget has and ones that don't. And maybe we can talk about budget purchasing, something that could be in another budget, but since that one can do field trips or something, a program, maybe they do that instead since community schools can't. I don't know if that makes sense, but just again, looking at budgets, whole picture, big picture, and trying to make decisions effectively, because there are a lot of limitations with this budget in particular.
So are you making a motion for us to pass something tonight?
Yes, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the community school budget for the 2023-2024 school year. Or as the amended, I should say, or revised community school budget for the 2023-2024 school year.
Okay, can someone second the motion?
Hi, Paula Armienta, second the motion.
Okay, it has been motioned to approve the 2023-2024 amendment to the community school budget. It's open for discussion. And we have 41 seconds left. Does anybody want to extend this anymore?
Hi, Paula Armienta, motion to extend it 2 more minutes.
Okay, 2 more minutes. Second, somebody second?
I second that motion.
Okay, I don't know if you can second though, but all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, we need somebody who's a voting member to second.
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You just say verbally aye, right? Anybody against it? All right, so we'll go ahead and extend that by 2 minutes. I'm sorry, Miss Casey. Okay, go ahead.
Have you had time to review the budget other than what's shared on the screen at this
Have not.
moment?
No.
this is something that I had brought up at the end of last year. So there was an initial budget that I had that had like field trips and all like that. And then Principal Fordham had called me and said, you can't purchase those things in the community schools budget. So it had to be revised. And I know I brought it up and talked about it, but when I went back and looked at minutes, I couldn't find anything in the minutes, and it has to be in the minutes. So that's why I'm doing it now. The only change that I made from even that one was I added this advisory committee expense because it was a suggestion.
Okay. So you're saying that this is the same budget that we had approved early on when we were looking at budgets for 2023, 2024, but the only difference is
Back
here,
in
the
March
advisory
of
committee.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the only difference is this the advisory committee expense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where did this 4,000 come from to add that, or like, where did this get pulled from to create that advisory committee expense?
It got pulled. Let me see. I can try to pull up the one before. I think I took from overtime. We haven't been spending that much with overtime, and from contract services. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Yeah.
And what would the advisory committee expense, what would that be for? Events, you said?
For like ideally like as we get community schools implementation team going again.
Okay.
Really support any events that we would try to host to either collect data, get information, synthesize data as we get together, or whatever we decide to do as a collective group.
And when is the deadline to get this approved? Have we already passed the deadline for this?
Yes.
Oh boy. Okay. And is this one of these budgets that does not carry over?
It's I don't know exactly how much is going to be carried over, if anything. But
okay, I think I remember last year they didn't have anything carry over. They just was either gone or they just had created some new bucket. Okay.
Are you monitoring the chat? There are some things that you might want to address briefly in the chat.
I love the social justice. Ms. Bedford, can you just read that or say it? Our kids are expected to
yeah, I think it's just in terms of partners and contracts. Yeah, I mean that would be great for us to have.
No, actually it is, and I'll read it. There have been proposals from community members, partners to work with Hawkins, but it doesn't seem Hawkins is receptive. We must try new things rather than being comfortable with the status quo. Our kids are expected to perform successfully within a broken system without the actual supports needed. It doesn't really make sense, right? Question. That's a question.
Yeah. It's so true. You know, we keep doing the same things over and over again, and we know it's not working, but it seems that collectively no one is willing to take the charge or charges to do the right things by the children.
So this is
and then when we talk about accountability, we get like crickets in the room.
Say that? No.
Yes, Ms. Moore.
About crickets in the room? Okay.
Yes, I have brought it up several times and it's always quiet.
Okay.
So this was the original revised budget. So again, so the 4,000 for the advisory services, as I mentioned, come out of the contract service. So this is one that we had talked about before. And so this is it now. This is 40,000, a little bit more for general supplies too, and then 4,000.
Well, we hit our time.
I'm sorry.
We've hit our time.
I'm sorry, but was there going to be any response to that question?
That is not in that question. There's some statements and some questions in there. And I don't think that we need to be comfortable with the status quo. I do think that we need to look at different things.
Yeah, but I like to see us actually do it.
Yeah, I just know that all these different budgets have all these different constraints, and it's not always that easy to add in new things depending on what you're trying to spend the money on. But we should always be considering something new. We shouldn't just be we
Yeah.
shouldn't just be satisfied with the status quo.
Absolutely. But I would like to at least hear the ideas of new things. I don't even hear that.
Well, that is something we
Maybe
need to
in
have in
your
a separate
committee
meeting
meeting.
from here, because we have a couple other
Yeah.
things on our agenda we need to discuss, and we're actually over time on this one. And I don't know, are we ready to vote on this at all, or do people still have, because we are, like I said, out of time.
Can we please just vote and move on to the next and table Ms. Bedford's questions/comments for another meeting?
Yeah, we can do that during sometime when we have more time. Okay. All right, so are we ready to vote then? What is that noise? Okay. So you're voting to move that it was 4,000 out of contract services into advisory committee expense in the community schools budget for 2023, 2024.
We don't really necessarily need to say it so much as an amendment. I think still we could just say like a revised budget, or even just the budget, because the one that we had done before, which I can show that one too, had things that we can't buy with this budget, like
Yeah.
field
And then,
trips, missions, whatnot.
And that was my fault too, because you had already made the motion, so I'm not restating it in a different way. I shouldn't have. It's moving, it's making an amendment to the 2023-2024 community schools budget. So go ahead and vote in the chat. Yes to amend, no to amend, abstain, or what's your pleasure? Okay, I see 10 people have voted. Are we missing somebody?
We have 12 voting members today. There we go. Thank you. We have, I think 11. Yes, 11 ayes, 2 abstains. Motion passes.
And it was 0 no's?
Right. I need a recount. Something happened.
Okay.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8,
Mhm.
9, 10 ayes, 3 abstains.
Okay.
Is that right?
10 ayes, 3 abstains, 0 no's. Motion passes.
Yes.
All right. Next thing on our agenda. Where are we? I keep going back here. Sorry, folks. It's a good way to remind you how to get to our agenda. All right, let's see. professional development. LSLC has purview over 100% of the professional development, even the ones that are suggested by the district. The only ones that we have to have are the mandated PDs that are from the state. So the ones that say like blood-borne pathogens, stuff like that. I don't know if ILT, which would be in representation of MixDOW, has any updates for us with regard to testing dates. That would be Ms. Jackson, or the PD calendar dates. Do we have any updates on that? We have 15 minutes on this part if we need that much time.
Ms. Moore, can you please share the screen? I don't see
Oh, I'm so
anything but
sorry. I thought I
but your
was.
beautiful face.
I am so sorry. Here we go. Make sure I click the right one. All right.
Thank
And we have about 20 minutes left of this meeting, by the way. All right, so we're here on the professional development calendar curriculum part of the meeting. And I believe that I shared the the tentative calendar with folks. If not, it's in the agenda. So you can see what's coming up for the month of February. MixDOW, do you have anything from IoT to share? Do we have a PD calendar to vote on yet?
We've been working on it piece by piece. Sorry, I'm not on my work laptop right now, so let me try to find that document. But I mean, things move around a lot depending on, things that come from the district constantly. So even if we have a schedule, things get moved. Where did my 1 second, I'm sorry.
So while you're doing that, I'm just showing the tentative calendar we have for the month of February. I just started off with where we are today. So there's the LSLC. This is internal and external information that club advisors have add into, department chairs add into, admin adds into. The coffee with the principal, I believe, is going to be the 3rd Friday of the month. Mr. Malta, correct me if I said the wrong date. And then we're supposed to get a calendar from Mr. Gutierrez about the dates at the SWPBIS's meeting, SWEBIS. That's for health and safety. And even though the district is giving us a lot of different things that they want us to do, MixDOW, because we're a community school, if there are other things that we feel are more important that we need to put on our calendar, we can justify that, and LSLC approves it, we can actually have what we think is important for our school. I know the iReady reading and math, and I'm just talking right now until there's anything else you need to add. But can you all see these dates here?
Yes.
Okay, looks like a BSEP party is pending. iReady, they're doing the testing right now. I know Ms. Jackson is calling kids in to finish up our test. At last, I heard we were at 94%. And I do remember, Ms. Bedford, you asked for us to find out what were the results of that test we can share with this body, so you can see what's happening with that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it doesn't have to be a formal somebody presenting, but what is the data?
Right.
So we know what we need to spend money on, and is it
Yeah.
working or not working? Because
Right.
we're not interested in the status quo.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's a
Did
Black
you say a BSAP party?
Yes, a BSEP dance party I see on the calendar, but it still has pending. But it looks like they're trying to have it on February the 8th. I haven't seen it on the
Oh,
actual website. When it's official and not pending anymore, it will show up on the website if it's an external event.
oh,
There is a youth symposium coming up at LMU, and that is with our CTE teacher, and a journalism class is also going to be participating because we're creating a mental health magazine. And the parent workshop is coming up on the 13th. Again, these are internal and external dates. So you see things like the UTLA lunch meeting because we'll be taking up space on campus. And that's why that is here on the calendar. And first report cards are going to be, MISIS closes for those report cards on February 16th. So next week, teachers can start putting in those grades for that first report card. And most importantly is the 29th, which is our student-led conference coming up. And then there's a financial workshop coming up. What is that for? That's after school, so that must be for parents. It says
Miss Moore, if we go back up to the 16, I believe there's either a typo or they put it in the wrong slot right there, February 26th.
Oh, what is that? Okay, let's move
And
that.
I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if it's a typo. She meant 16 or is actually on the 26th.
I
So
think they didn't know how to move the box when they saw it was in there. But I'll move it down here and check with her and make sure that's correct. Attendance outreach date, because if it's on the 26th, I'll move that down. Thank you. We got the 20th, the 20th, the 16th. All right. Anything else we need to add, McDowell?
In terms of the calendar,
ILT, calendar, anything from ILT.
can I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So we've been working on focusing on several teaching and learning framework standards. We've been really focusing on where are we? We've been working on student discussions. And that is based on feedback that we got from our whatchamacallit. Oh my God, my brain's not working. From the district when we got, what is that called? Oh my God.
Which date are you talking about?
I'm talking about the feedback that we got. Oh, our oh my God, I lost it again. I'm so sorry. When the district came into
Do observations?
I'm sorry?
When the district came to do observations and they were saying we need to look at
Yes.
small
And
group
so
discussions.
yes, a lot of it was on we got feedback on discussion techniques and student participation. So that is one of the ones that we are really focusing on along with the standards-based assessments. And so our February schedule is based on that. We also have student-led conference coming up, so I will be presenting the slides for that next week. We also have Senior Defense Part 2 coming up for we're going to be doing calibrations for our teachers to be on the same page in terms of grading the senior defenses, and we are starting earlier this year as because last year, the previous years, we were starting pretty late and kids were getting really frazzled, so we're trying to start earlier so they're very prepared by June to do their senior defense. And then we have planned a master schedule discussion with all staff because we're trying to be more inclusive than we have been in the last couple of years, so that everyone has some input, but we need to do that soon. I'm not sure when we have to submit that by. Mr. Malta, do you know when that we need to get that in? But it's soon because we have to get that together so that
Correct.
students can also choose their classes as well. You know when that needs to be in, Mr. Malta?
I have to double check, but you're right. It's actually coming up pretty fast.
I know we have a calendar that UTLA shared with the chapter chairs, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
But that is our PD schedule for February.
And we do need some time to talk to staff about what a community school is and what that means, so that we can start sharing that with the committee. I'm sorry, not the committee, the community. Because as Ms. Casey was pointing out, it's not enough folks who really understand what a community school is and what that all entails. And so I think it starts with us understanding and then spreading that out.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Bedford and I were both on the community schools implementation team. And we were also on the hiring panel for Ms. Castillo when she was applying for her position. And I feel honestly that we've both been silenced here. We're not students sitting in a classroom. I think we would have higher attendance if we could have some space in these meetings for dialogue and not just for recitation of things that we can either read ourselves ahead of time. I think we really lose the power of what LSLC could do. I know this is a committee where no one really checks with them first. That was supposed to be the idea. And I think if you continue to silence people, they won't show up. I mean, how many people are here today? I think that's something to think about going forward. Thank you.
Okay. And what we want to do too is really try to manage our time as well too, Ms. Casey. That's why we've been offering to have meetings outside of this, because during the year we had talked as a committee not to have meetings within meetings. And I do want to make sure that we're clear that folks do not feel that they don't have a voice. And we have been talking about having breakout sessions too, especially like when we start talking about the budget next time. So it's not that we're trying to silence anybody, but we are trying to be respectful of everybody's time and the amount of things that we have on the agenda. And we have how many more items on this agenda right now? Oh, where was I? Okay. We still have in here, I don't know if anyone is here to present about the school-wide positive behavior intervention. That would be George and Mr. Gutierrez, and I don't see them in the room right now. And then we have reports from our ad hoc committee, because we do have a report that the PR team turned in. Well, they're the media marketing PR team, and hopefully you had a chance to take a look at that document. I was just pointing out how many more things we have on here, and we have about 8 more minutes.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ms. Moore, I can report the PBIS meeting that I believe Mr. Gutierrez has set for the first Friday of every month.
Okay.
So we met, and unfortunately, Mr. Gutierrez was dealing with an issue that involved school police. So he couldn't be there, but I was there, and I got the conversation regarding the um, the the structure of our tardy policy and how it was brought up to different stakeholders. The end result was that we discussed that our next target is to go to our last groups, interest groups, which is the students themselves. So we can actually hear from the students regarding this idea of responsibility to come into school on time and every day. So Ms. Castillo discussed what was done in the past in regards to selecting students to create a group that can provide us with information regarding from the student's point of view, why is it that we still have this issue, and how do they feel about the referral process? If you come into school late or you go to classes late, then you're referred to after school tutoring. And so we're in the process of creating that, and that was the result of the last PBIS meeting.
Okay. And you said you're in the process of creating.
Student group.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And so then what time is the meeting then on the third Friday of the month, you said? First
Uh,
Friday, first Friday.
Yeah, the first Friday of the month, I believe he has set up for starting at 12:50 p.m.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then I did want to note that we probably need to have something on the agenda for SWPBIS about the hallway doors. When I was going home the other day, I actually found a pencil stuck in the door, and it looked like somebody had stuck that in there to be able to get access into the door. So they might want to just talk about that, how that's been, just access to the building when school's closed.
Yes, and I know that you and I have discussed other concerns such as the doors for the parking structure not closing all the way, and so it goes along with what you just stated.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It says there's 10 minutes left, but we're not gonna have 10 minutes to go through this. But to your question, Ms. Casey, I see you have in here about who created the marketing PR team. The marketing media PR team is internal. We had several conversations since last year about improving communications from the school to the outside world. How are we getting things on the calendar? So the PR marketing is a name that we came up with. That was the name that Chaz had used when we were looking at how to streamline the activity permit request and how you get on the school calendar. How does it end up on school social media? How does it end up, excuse me, that's our time. How does it end up on the marquee? How do any of these things that people are doing end up anywhere? How do posters end up on the wall? So we started meeting in November with the IT group because they're working with social media, with myself because I'm the school, what am I? The Schoology champion. And then Mr. Harris is handling the website. And then we have leadership that signs off on the document. So there's a document that's online that folks are supposed to fill out internally if they want to have things on the calendar. So that is the group that has been working so that we can better communicate to the community what is happening at the school. It is not leaving out parents and students. It is just starting with internal communications going outward first. And that's where we had heard from people over and over again. How do we know what's going on? When does the calendar get updated? So we have been working on streamlining that. And that's what this is about, the last meeting that we had and what's going to happen. And I don't want to, unless somebody wants to extend the meeting, which I don't think that we do. I hope you had a chance to, I'll put the link in here so you can look at it, but this is a document just detailing how we're going to make sure information goes out so the students know, so it ends up on the calendar, and how do we make announcements, when we make announcements, so it's not interruptive to instructional time.
Could we have them look at the website? I wanted to see when Coffee with the Principal would be this month, and the last date on that website is October 2020. Could they take a look at the website?
We actually haven't trained the entire staff actually on this, but I'll take a look at the website.
Yeah.
We started meeting in, I think October, maybe November, so we can start streamlining this. And so now we're in the process of training the staff on how to do this. So if folks want to get on the calendar, okay, so the calendar is at the bottom of the website here. Ooh, Lunar New Year's in there twice. Oh, it's in there every year. Okay. And what are you looking for? Coffee with the Principal?
Yeah, I wanted to see, I actually called the Family Center, and I was told that Coffee with the Principal hadn't been approved. The date hasn't been approved yet. but there is a date on there for October 2020. So we just need to update that. When a lot of people consider if Hawkins is where they want to go, one of the things they do is they look at the website and the calendar gives them information to activities. So we just want them to know that, yes, we are still currently active beyond like 2020. Yeah.
Gotcha. So we need to have internally the activity permit request for SWEBIS that needs to go on the website, because I think they just set that date up. SWPBIS, Coffee with the Principal. LSLC is up there already. SSC, I'm working with Ms. Dodd to get that taken care of, and any other regular dates. So this was the first step in making sure that we get better at that.
Yeah, and a principal's message. I see Mr. Malta's lovely photograph, but there's nothing under it. It's blank.
When you look at staff?
No, principal's message. I see the lovely photograph of our principal Malta, but there's nothing under it.
Okay.
Principal's message.
And where is that?
They just redid that. So they asked me to create one message.
And where is it? I'm looking on the homepage right now.
It's not there yet. That's what I'm saying. Can we update the website?
Can you share the website so I can show you where I would?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I
Um,
was sharing it right now. My
no,
apologies.
ma'am. To where you can see where he will hopefully soon, because we got so many things going on, would do his speech for us.
So I'm
let me-
looking at the front page, and fortunately, well,
No, I
not-
think it's our school where you would find him when he's ready to write his message.
Oh, principal's
Yeah.
message.
Yeah. So I mean, we also got to give him time. He just came in and he also has to deal with everything else going on. But I mean, at least his picture is there. At least I know who to go hunt down when something is wrong. So one
Gotcha.
step closer.
That's true in Sarmiento, but we are a school. I know we've had a lot of upheaval, but we still have to keep it running. The principal's message is not an essay. It could be just a small paragraph, just to touch bases. You know, we still have to keep the school running. Believe me, I know we've had some challenges. Yeah, but we're all here to support.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and also, I thought I was showing it to you. So here's the school calendar so far. And then when you click show all, it's still linear, and you just click on what you want. And when is the next coffee with the principal?
The 16th.
The 16th? Okay. So it's gonna be is that the third Friday of the month?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have that form filled out so it can get to all the proper people and end up on the calendar, okay? And really appreciate everyone's feedback, because we don't get better if we don't hear from people, and that's what we need to do.
Exactly.
And we need to stick to our time that we have here so that people will come back. And we do want to make sure that people feel like they have a voice, because you do have a voice. And so when it's time to put the agenda together, this is usually that time when we're asking for what do you want to see on the agenda for the next meeting, because our next official meeting is going to be on the 12th of March. It's not the first Tuesday, because the first Tuesday is an election day, and we don't have meetings after school on election day. So we have time to add things into the agenda, and the plan is to have the agenda done at least a week before that meeting. So we want to have it ready by March the 4th, okay?
If we can, I'd like to have a report from BSAP. I was at a meeting where we should be having a Black Advisory Council. We don't have that. We were at coffee with the principal, and people were not even aware that we had a BSAP community rep. So if we could get a report or have someone come in and talk to us about BSAP, perhaps we can do that.
Okay. And what was the other council you said that was part of, is the Black Advisory Council? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was Fordham's niece. What is her name? She's, let me think of her name. It's Fordham's niece. She was working in the
Ms.
Oh,
Thompson.
Tom?
Ms. Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People didn't know, actually, believe it or not, in the last coffee with the principal, people didn't even know that we had a community person and that they didn't know who Miss Castillo was.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I think the BSAP, because I see that, I'm not sure if that's on our website as one of the organizations we have. BSAP, I didn't see it on there. And I would like to make sure all of our populations, no matter what it is, that they're represented. Do you see it there? Maura?
No, and I'm trying to drag down, but that's as far as it's going as RJ is what it looks like. School
Yeah.
climate advocates.
And we don't even have restorative justice. So that's restorative justice we don't have. We should.
Yeah. Maybe it's, let me see under students. Oh, here's under students, but it's put with BSAP, TUPE, and WASC, because I think that's where, that's the page that Dr. Witt was working on. So it's under students.
Well, okay, and Dr. Witt, and she hasn't been around for a while. Let's try to keep things a little more current, I think is one of my concerns. Thank you.
Yes. And in an effort to keep things current, I know it's going slowly, but a number of us that are working on this happen to be in the classroom. And so we're also taking that time to make sure that we get these things right. And so it's a process. And I know we're not a new school. We've had these things before, but we had new people. So now we're trying to get caught up to speed. So I'm taking all of that, writing it down, because there are some updates that need to be made to the website for sure.
That's why if we act as a community school and kind of spread the load, teachers we know are inundated with so many things, but we're a community school because we're teachers, we're community, we're parents, we're students. And if we start being, if we honor that, then people don't feel that so much is on their shoulders solely. That's my suggestion.
Yeah. Yes. And so that is what we do need, suggestions from all folks involved. And I'm going to write all this down. There are some places in the website that you have to have a single sign-on from LAUSD to get into too, but that doesn't mean that we can't get help from other folks for sure. And it is after 7 o'clock. So we're going to need to end this meeting right now. And do we get through all parts of the agenda? Whatever we didn't get through today, we need to talk about it at the next meeting. We still haven't had any review of our bylaws to see if there's any updates that be made. And we had a committee that was working on programs and courses, and we're getting ready to go into the matrix and master scheduling now. So comments like, when do we schedule PE classes so it's not disruptive to content? That still needs to happen. And you could take a minute to do any other announcements. I think we talked about student-led conferences coming up. Oh, and I'm sorry, I left this in here, this public comment, because Mr. Malta, there's been promises to get back in touch with Miss Armienta about the PTA going all the way back to August. That's the last time we noted it, but I don't think anyone's gotten back in touch with her about that. I could be wrong, Miss Armienta. Did somebody get back in touch with you about that yet?
No, ma'am, I'm still waiting for that.
Okay. So we need to change this so that, because we've been asking about a PTA for a while. So the budget meeting is going to take place on Tuesday, February the 20th. And then we have a joint meeting with SSC, ELAC, and LSLC, and that is a budget meeting to go over that whole spreadsheet where we talk about what we're going to be, what budgets are available and what are we going to purchase with that money. And that is on February the 27th. But at that time, we'll be making a presentation because on the 20th, we should be creating that document. And then we should be hearing from the community. And then we're going to have that presentation with all three communities. So we're not, so we make sure we don't have any overlap. All right. And then please email, you can email to I think I put that in our agenda. Did I? I don't know if I did. I don't see the email address for the LSLC, but it is Hawkins_LSLC@googlegroups.com. And that's so we can include community members as well as staff and students in the message. So if you have any suggestions for the agenda, please send it there. All right, if there's nothing else, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 7:10. Is that okay with you, co-chair?
Yes.
Okay. Meeting adjourned, 7:10. Thank you very much again for a very robust discussion, and we need to make sure we set some time to go over the things that we didn't have time to talk about today, okay? Good night, everybody.
Hi.
Good night.
Stop sharing. I'm gonna stop recording.